Welcome to a quick guide to the Year 6 English workbook. My name is Maria and I will be leading you through this summary. As you open the workbook, you will find the contents. This is a really thorough guide which gives a wealth of information as to how to deliver the sessions, adapt for our different learners, and most importantly, engage our pupils. The first section of the workbook is made up of 20 core sessions. Each session takes a pupil through a guided read of an extract and the modelling and independent practice of SAT skills. Section 2 of the workbook has 5 SATs practice sessions. We will go through a more detailed look at these sessions later on. The workbook also includes background information on SATs, which is relevant to how we have chosen to put together our sessions. The Key Stage 2 reading content domains set out the relevant elements from the national curriculum that are assessed in the English reading test. As you can see, each domain carries a different weighting in terms of marks. Our sessions are built to specifically align with this mark distribution. For example, in each session, pupils will retrieve and infer information from a text, as this skill is of high value in the SAT examination, but more importantly, to the literacy skills of a pupil. The next section of the guidance relates to how the sessions have been put together and the structure and timings for each section of the session. It should be noted that this is a guide and timings are flexible. If a part of the session is taking longer or pupils are moving more quickly, this is fine. Throughout the sessions, you will see the Sticky Notes logo. Where you see this logo, you can pause and annotate the ideas that your pupils come up with, and they can also annotate in their own workbook. We have chosen to include this because we want our pupils to be armed with learning methods that they can use when they read any text that makes their knowledge become more sticky. In the rest of the opening of the workbook, you will find some really useful guidance on things such as how you can help a pupil find answers more quickly, building vocabulary, how you can support a less fluent reader, and how you can support a more fluent reader. Now let's walk through an example of a session. We will use the first session from the week workbook as an example to do this. Each session starts by outlining the learning aims. The words in bold are the key skills that are central to success in the SAT examination. After the learning aims, there will always be a vocabulary warm-up that is specifically linked to the focus text. The aim of these activities are to engage the pupils in a fun and creative way. Pupils are encouraged to be word detectives and to use their prior knowledge to think about vocabulary that might be unfamiliar. You can see in this first example that the pupils look at a set of images and think about how the image helps them to understand the vocabulary. Each of these activities comes with detailed tutor guidance to ensure purposeful discussion. Often in the workbook, pupils are then asked to match the vocabulary to a set of synonyms of the word. This really helps for the acquired knowledge to become sticky. Next in each session, there is a pre-reading activity that deals with a blurb of the text. Tutors should read the blurb and then discuss the questions below it with the pupils. This is always followed by a guided read of the focus text. At this point, I'd like to remind tutors to have a really detailed look at the section of the workbook that is called Reading the AT Way. This will really support you with the successful delivery of this section of a session. However, the key things to note are the use and the purpose of the sticky notes guidance, like we have gone through earlier, really taking the time to discuss the questions with the pupils. The questions are written for tutors to really help with their planning, but most importantly, ensuring that you model the reading for the pupils. On the first read of an extract, a tutor should always model the extract and the reading the first time. Next, the pupils will always walk through a scaffolded response with their tutor using a focus skill. Then the pupils will have a go independently. The discussion tasks are always shown using this speech bubble sign. A question will be given and the tutor should read this question out. There will then be scaffolded steps as to how best to approach this question. Again, this is a discussion-led activity. Pupils are then given the opportunity to try a similar question that assesses the same skill. This is always marked as an independent thinking task. There will always be a supporting scaffold to help pupils approach their independent thinking. Tutors will then mark the pupils' responses with their groups. This is a great opportunity to unpick any misconceptions. Each marking section includes a top tip. This generally encapsulates where the pupils may have gone wrong. Often the pupils make the same mistakes. Then we repeat the whole process again for another skill. One other key feature that you will notice throughout the workbooks is the quick-fire race around the text feature. As mentioned earlier, retrieval questions hold a lot of weighting in the SATs exam. This fun game allows pupils to practice this skill in an engaging and, if you want, competitive way. The answers to these questions will not be recorded on any trackers. To finish each session, there is an optional challenge activity. These sessions always tie into the skills or content of the session, but encourage pupils to think a little differently. After this, pupils and tutors are encouraged to reflect on the progress that has been made throughout the session. There is a reflection ladder to help tutors to generate discussion. Pupils and tutors should also record their pupil scores in this section. Tutors can choose how best to fill in the trackers. For example, you may wish to keep track throughout the session or to make a note at the end of the session. As you can see from the tracker, it clearly indicates which questions require a score and which skill has been tested. This means that as a tutor, you can spot any gaps in knowledge as the sessions progress. Sessions 1 to 20 are formatted in this way. The final 5 sessions are slightly different. These sessions are practice SATs sessions that pupils can complete with guidance from their tutors. The aim of these sessions is to provide independent opportunities for the pupils to put the skills they have learned into practice. It is important to note at this point that if you feel a pupil is ready for one of these practice sessions earlier in the unit, that is absolutely fine. They can be weaved in at any point. They have been put at the end of the booklet simply for ease. Each of these sessions begins with a warm-up activity. This is often a discussion activity or a game for the pupils to play. As in the other sessions, tutors will model the reading of the extract to their groups. However, instead of asking specific questions, tutors should stop at each sticky note and say, what key information are you going to put on your sticky note? Think about the plot and characters. The rest of the session takes on the format of the scaffold, followed by a set of questions, followed by a marking activity. Pupils should complete these questions as independently as possible. As always, at the end of these sessions, the pupils will be able to reflect on their attainment and progress. All sessions, both core and SATs practice sessions, end with an optional discussion about the author and the book. If there is time, you may wish to discuss this with your groups. Reading for pleasure empowers pupils to take significant strides in their literacy journey. I really hope that you found this video helpful. As a tutor, you have access to a wealth of resources to further aid you on your tutoring journey. 360 Learning is an innovative platform which has all of your training and development needs in one place. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out.